Hey, everybody. Hello. It's Saturday morning. I'm Julie Roginski. I am here with Michelle Kinney and Tara Setmayer and JoJo from Jurors, Joanne Carducci. And we are so psyched that you guys have joined us today because we've got our coffee. This is coffee in here. I probably should have added a few other things based on this week from hell and the gaslighting that we experienced from our 47th president this week. But I'm so happy that everybody's here. Before we get to the shit show that was this week, how was everybody's week?
I don't remember.
Yeah. I feel like they're blurring into each other.
I don't even know how I'm here. I don't know how we got to Saturday. How did that happen?
I know.
We're
already a full week into March.
Right.
What is happening?
Daylight savings is tomorrow. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Tonight. Well, whatever.
Overnight.
Tomorrow.
Yeah. I'll take that extra hour of daylight, though. I know it's
same.
madness, but I'm so ready for longer days.
I am too.
Michelle and my husband are the same with they get that. What is that when you get like depressed in the winter because it's dark?
Affective disorder. I think I have that too. Sad.
I have it. I've had it like this for as long as I can remember. Yeah.
Can I just interrupt? Because Draw Me an Elephant just said in the comments, and before we go any further in this conversation, is Central Jersey a thing? Do you want me to come and kick your ass?
No, it's not.
It is. I am from Central Jersey. I grew up there. It is like Narnia. If you don't know how to get there, it doesn't exist for you. But for those of us lucky enough to be from there, yes, it is a thing.
It's
and
like
I will shut this whole thing down right now, and we'll literally drive to anybody's house and fight them.
Let's go.
It's not a thing. Listen, Julie is outnumbered. You have two North Jersey girls here. Julie's outnumbered. This is a real fight. Julie and I got into like a funny meme fight back and forth about this about 2 months ago. It's real. People from Jersey know it's real, just like the pork roll and Taylor ham argument. Yeah. It's a real thing. So, but Central Jersey is not.
No, Central Jersey.
I feel more passionately about Central Jersey being a thing than I do about how much I dislike Donald Trump. Like, I need to understand that I will brook no dissent when it comes to. I am from Middlesex County, New Jersey. It is in Central.
I've never even heard of that.
Yeah. Here's the deal. Anything south of Elizabeth and everything north of Burlington County, that's the nirvana that we know is Central New Jersey. And I don't want to hear it. We can proceed with the rest of this discussion because I know that not everybody here wants to talk about this, but I just had to stop this discussion because whoever you are with us in the chat, I will fight you if you disagree with me.
Here's the math, just real fast. I just have to say this. So if you're in North Jersey, you're a Giants fan. And if you're in South Jersey, you're an Eagles fan. And that there is no in between. There is no, I like both teams. I'm in the middle. I live in Central New Jersey.
I'll tell you,
you're
wrong.
I'm gonna let JoJo handle this one. My demarcation line is the Raritan River. When you go down the shore, you go over the Raritan River Bridge. You're in South Jersey.
I am not from South Jersey, though. I grew up south of the Raritan River. Do not ever accuse me of being
South Jersey. You just said Tom's River is not South Jersey? Oh
No. Raritan River. Tom's
River. The Raritan River. You know where the Parkway and it's
the
Parkway.
Like New Brunswick. But listen,
the Driscoll Bridge.
When I was a little kid, there used to be. Do you guys remember? There was this weird, like chemical blue, like pool on the right side.
Yes, by exit 8A where I grew up. Yes.
No, you're talking about by the Driscoll Bridge when you go over on the right. Yeah. It was like some kind of like radioactive, I don't know what. But all right, we're not going to do this anymore because Michelle is from New York and we're going to drive everybody crazy with that. But that's
the only time I go to New Jersey is to pass through to go somewhere else.
We can all agree that Central Jersey is a real thing, and also Michelle sucks. We could, I think.
Now we beat up on Michelle.
All right. Anyway, I'm sorry to interrupt.
No. It's a real thing. It's a legit argument. Like,
continue with your week, ladies.
Yeah.
I was done. My week was a blur. Next.
Mine too.
All right.
I mean, at some point, like if you like don't plug in for an hour straight, all of a sudden you're like getting texts like, there's firing squad.
Yeah, that was me last night. I was like, oh, this South Carolina executed someone last night via firing squad, an indoor firing squad.
I was literally, so I was doing CNN yesterday morning and like, I'm literally on set and we get done with our segment and then they go tease the next segment. And they go, and John Berman as the anchor is like, I think it was John Berman who said, he goes, and coming up next, South Carolina executes somebody by firing squad. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, I'm literally on television. And my reaction was the same. I was like, what the hell?
I saw you. I saw you live yesterday. And also I watched you on Abby's show. I think it was the night before or 2 nights ago. And you just kicked ass. And I was so happy that you were on fire, especially against who used to be a very good friend of mine, Sir Michael Singleton, who is now turned into the most obnoxious motherfucker. And I'm so annoyed with him. I have not talked to him in almost 2 years because he decided to sell out and go MAGA. People forget that he actually quit the Republican Party before I did and wrote a whole big op-ed in the Washington Post about it. And part of what drove him out of the party was the George Floyd protests and the way that Trump handled it and the way the Republicans were handling it. And I watched him now completely sell out and become this MAGA apologist when he knows better. But, the love of money is a hell of a drug. So that's all I'm going to say about that.
I saw him recently in some like MAGA lineup promo for something. Do you remember? It was like like MAGA product or something. And I was like, wait,
what? Well, listen, he's a big gun enthusiast. So that's what, he's a big, he used to shoot competitive guns, and he does this gun show with another black guy who's a former Marine. And basically, I'm just going to be honest. Basically, when he was a big never Trumper because he got fired at the first week of the first Trump administration because he had written critical articles about Trump during the 2016 election. And then they did their first loyalty test back in 2017 for people. He was supposed to work as like a deputy chief of staff for Ben Carson over there at HUD. And they did like a scrub of his social and found out that he was critical of Trump during the election, and they fired him. And then he got all up in arms about it and decided that he was going to be a never Trumper and was honest about how Trump was, until you fast forward to 2020 and 2021. And he got into doing this, this gun show, like gun stuff or whatever, which I'm fine with, whatever, it's fine. Yeah, but he hit an ultimatum. Basically, he was given an ultimatum because all that gun culture is very MAGA. Right. And he was participating in like the Principles First conferences. He was part of that movement of Republicans like me that are right of central that were like, we don't have a place anymore. What are we going to do? Are we going to form a new party? What are we going to do? What kind of, and he was part of those discussions, and he was basically hit with a dilemma. The gun culture is going to give you lots of money to do your gun stuff, but you can't keep doing this never Trump thing. It's either or. And we saw how he chose. And the rest is history.
I don't know how people live with themselves. I really don't.
I don't either.
Me either. I haven't talked to him in almost 2 years.
Like Wendy Lee, fucking bitch.
Oh yeah, she's wackadoo. I don't. The thing about the MAGA gun culture, I think intent is really, really important here, because I think a lot of responsible gun owners think of guns as protection and maybe sport, right? The MAGA gun culture makes me think aggressive.
Yeah.
And he's not that, right?
Like, I know he's not.
And and that's what's sad about it, because he started off to be someone that wanted to teach particularly women and minorities the importance of responsible gun ownership. Yeah. And so it started with that, and then it morphed into more of this like bro macho, we're going out and shooting guns kind of bullshit, which it always turns into. And it's like, come on, man, anyway, that's
listen, he could be making a name for himself in that space right now, because there are, and I don't think we've talked about this yet, I know several members of the LGBTQ community who have reached out to me. I mean, I'm talking like liberal city, you would never think in a million years, saying, I'm thinking about learning how to use a gun. I'm thinking about a gun. Do you want to come to Westchester with me this weekend to shoot guns with me? I know women who've started talking about it. I've started talking about it, which if you
Mhm.
know me, I hate guns.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we're living in this like really weird time where we feel vulnerable. Like, I mean, especially the LGBTQ community. And there's a guy on Instagram, I can't remember his name, Blacksmith something. He's the guy who does the sayings with the balloons. I don't know if you see like the blow like on the wall. Anyways, he lives on the West Coast somewhere, and he hosted an event at his house or something about this, and invited people over from the community to take a class about how to use a gun. I mean, he's like, this is the weirdest time I've ever lived through, and he said, I'm 51 years old. I've never ever seen anything like this, and at the very least, we should know what we're doing here, because there's one side who has all the weapons and there's another side that doesn't. And that's really a problem.
Yeah, we've talked about this. I mean,
I hate to say it, but it's true.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, we got off on that tangent because I was complimenting Julie for kicking his ass up and down the studio, and he's so condescending. He's like the Black Scott Jennings now. I'm so disappointed in him.
Scott Jennings.
Who just got a pay increase. Good for you, buddy.
Yeah,
Yes.
he's got a big pay increase because, and the funny thing about Scott Jennings that I can never get over is that we talked about this before, is that lunch that he had with Mitch McConnell right after January 6th in Kentucky over Chick-fil-A. Like, we even know down to the menu of what they ate, which means that Scott Jennings is the one who leaked it, probably.
Right.
Yeah.
Wait,
And
why?
so they both said that they were done with Trump, and that, and I quote, McConnell said to Jennings, the Democrats are going to take care of that son of a bitch for us. Well, first of all, I think Mitch McConnell deeply overestimated the Democrats' ability to take care of anybody.
Yeah, he should
But
know.
second is, how do you go from that to this? I mean, look, I get it. Scott wants to be the press secretary in the White House desperately. But
That's not happening. He's not blonde. It doesn't have tits.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But he, and look, he's good for ratings, I assume, right? Because there at least some sort
They
of
keep putting him on. I mean, he's on that show more than anybody, right? I mean,
Listen, he's the Meghan McCain of CNN. He's the
Yeah.
villain.
Yeah.
He's the villain,
And he just
they
says
love it.
anything. He just it's like he's like trolling live. Like he just says what he says to get a response. So that
But you
It's
know
so true.
I was the Meghan McCain of Fox News for a while, with Meghan McCain, as a matter of fact.
No. People didn't hate you. Meghan McCain is an awful person.
People, no, Fox viewers definitely hated me in the sense that
Viewers, but I mean, like, you weren't an awful person.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
She's an awful, miserable person.
I don't think anybody Fox hated me. I don't think. Maybe they did.
Right. That's what I mean by that.
The point is, viewers, like, I was the heel, right? Like, it's a whole WWE thing, right? You need conflict, and I was the Democratic foil. The difference is, I actually believed what I was saying.
Right.
And the part that
That's right.
I just cannot believe that Scott Jennings or Sir Michael Singleton actually believe what they say.
That's what
They don't.
Yeah.
They don't. That's right. That is the absolute.
What?
I don't know I think that she has a lot of issues. She's a very unhappy person. Her husband is awful.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And it's just
Let me just say this. If
I don't know what
my
her story
father
is,
is
but
so
she's
sacred
terrible.
to me, if anybody ever said a millionth of the things that Donald Trump said about her father, about my father,
I know.
You would have to hold me back from ripping their larynx out of their fucking throat. Like, and she's like, I mean, honest to God, everything's been my father.
You ever see the compilation?
Yeah,
They've done a compilation.
It's long. It's amazing.
Oh my God.
And then the last clip is, I'm John McCain's star.
Jesus God. I mean, could you imagine being like, that speech is the first one that ever made me cry? And this is the person who tried to destroy your father, who had a ship with his name on it covered from his view. I mean, honest to God, she is broken.
She is. Because when I did The View back in 2018, the first time with her, after she got the spot that I was up for the first time, I've been passed over for The View 4 times. And the first time was in 2017. They picked her because she was John McCain's daughter. So I was like, whatever. But then I was on as a guest host. They'd have me back. But this time I was on as a guest host. And so she was like, happy at first because she was getting her ass kicked so bad on that show all the time. And then she was like, oh my gosh, I have another like Republican on with me and blah, blah, blah. And like, she was like very nice at first until we got on air. And then she started to make like some excuses for Donald Trump. And I was one of the first people to call it a cult. It was in 2018. People can Google this exchange. It's out there. And she was like, stop calling it a cult. You said that last time. It's so reductive. I was like, I'm sorry. When he's telling people not to believe what they've actually seen and heard, and people are like, oh my God, yes. I said, it's a cult, honey. I was like, I'm not going to stop saying it. Too bad. And she was like gonna blow up in her chair because nobody talks back to the Meghan McCain. I'm not like, I don't give a fuck. It's a cult. And I'm not gonna stop saying it. The end. And so people were like, holy shit. From that point forward, that was it. I was on the enemies list and she actively blocked me from the show. I did not. Their stories were written in the Daily Mail about it because I actually was like people actually liked me at The View. I got along with everyone from the stage managers to the makeup team, and they hated her. And so when they saw her bad mouthing me and treating me, it got leaked. And I was like, wow. So I didn't show up I wasn't on The View for like 2 more years after that until I was up again for the finalist spot when she left. And they chose Alyssa Farah Griffin.
I mean, you could tell that the stylists on that show hated that
bitch. She has no gay men who like her anymore.
Oh my God. Yeah. Like, no one has ever been owned harder by their own hair.
That weird thing that crazy.
She looked like she was from the Wizard of Oz. Like honest to God. Like at one point I was like, who wore it better? And it was like her or somebody from the Lollipop Guild. It was like, what the fuck?
And she's just terrible. And I will say that the hair and makeup team at The View are the best in the business, and they have won Emmys, and they're amazing, and I love every one of them. And shout out to that team because they always make me look fabulous. So actually, my profile picture that I use for almost everything is from The View when because they're just the best.
Well, I sat next to Meghan McCain on Outnumbered on Fox News before she got to me. And I have some incredible stories, which I will save for the book. But because I am bound by a non-disclosure agreement. But suffice it to say, how do I put this without getting myself in trouble? I have rarely met. I've never met anybody who's so entitled in my life.
Yes.
So on that note, I actually I've never met her. I don't know her. But how do I say this without getting myself in trouble? So one of my former bosses, used to say, you can be mean, you can do this, blah, 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 but you can't lie. Okay. His whole thing was like, you can't make shit up. You cannot lie when you're attacking people. It will come back to bite you in the ass. And then a couple years, he went on a tirade on Twitter and attacked her pretty badly, saying all the things
in great
detail about what it was like to have her on the campaign for her dad and all the things that he had to deal with her. And I remember thinking at the time, I was like, well, this is like kind of, I thought it was like really mean to attack the family and things. I thought that was crazy. But when it came to
it was
too much.
But it was great tea.
It was good tea. But I guess my point being, with that advice, I was like, oh, he's not lying. He's not making any of this up. None of this is hyperbolic. So I'm just saying.
So anyway, we still have that to say.
Can we talk about bad makeup for just 1 second, really fast, just to go back to bad makeup and Meghan aside? Donald Trump was wearing so much fucking deck stain, concealer, spray tan. I don't know what in the upside down, broken day drunk Oompa Loompa was fucking happening there.
As was Melania. I feel like she borrowed some of his stuff. I don't get it.
It was like that shoe polish, light.
Can I just say that speaking of fantastic, wonderful gays, Randy Rainbow just put out this week.
Yep.
One of his best ever. And every one of his things are brilliant, but he did it to Defying Gravity. and he called it Dismantling Democracy.
Oh,
And
I haven't
it
seen it.
is phenomenal. And he talks about, oh, we should talk. Yes, he's a friend and he's amazing. And if he's not, oh, yeah, as long as he's not on tour, I'll reach out.
Sure.
Tara,
I
I
will
would
reach
literally
out.
cry if I got to meet Randy Rainbow.
He's phenomenal. I've read I interviewed him a couple years ago. Actually, the last time I was on The View, I had to do the interview from the hotel. I happened to be up doing a View for a couple days, and Randy was able to come on our old show in our old place. And unfortunately, they did not appreciate him. Yeah, Michelle was there.
I was like freaking out.
Yeah, and the old place, they didn't appreciate him or how wonderful he was and didn't promote it properly. And I was furious about it because he is so unearthly talented and amazing. But it doesn't matter. We had a wonderful conversation and he's fabulous. And the last time he came to DC to do a show, he gave me tickets to go, and my mom and I went. We had our little pink glasses. He's awesome. So anyway, I encourage everyone to watch his new video, Dismantling Democracy, which is after Defying Gravity from Wicked. And he talks all about how he's, you need to blend, girl, blend.
Oh my God. And like, we have HD TVs, and it's just like,
unkind.
I just, I don't get it. Like,
I don't either.
He's got the best makeup artists on earth that will work for him. Like, by the way, listen, I'll say this about Fox News. They've got great makeup artists. He can poach anybody from Fox in the DC Fox bureau to go over to the White House and work for him. And I don't understand.
I think he has. I think that they have. Like, there were a couple of makeup artists. Right. So according to Michael Cohen, from what I remember, Michael Cohen said that he doesn't let anyone he does his own makeup and he does his own hair.
Yeah.
And so that's why it looks like that, because there is no makeup artist on this planet, okay, that would ever allow their client to go out looking like that. Like, never, unless they're like, no. And we're talking like not even the most basic makeup artist. Like, no. So he does it himself. That's why he looks like that.
Imagine that visual. He's like in his adult diaper and his girdle, and like he's in his little mirror with like his face and his fucking hair, and he's just sitting there like, look at you.
But he's like on Ozempic or something, because he's lost a lot of weight recently.
Yeah, I heard it was Ozempic, actually. Somebody said that to me yesterday. Oh, Brian Karam said that he's on Ozempic. That's what he said.
It looked to me like he lost weight and then gained it back. There was a point during the campaign where he was looking like he was on the shot. And then recently, some of those pictures of him golfing I was like, oh, he's going to put it back on again. But I don't know. It's hard to look at anything else but that mess on his face. And it's true. Because I'm like, I always say this, he's darker than I am. I don't understand. For someone who can't stand minorities and disparages them and immigrants and brown people, he sure as hell tries so hard to look like us. I don't understand.
No, he doesn't try to look like, he tries to look orange. He doesn't try to look dark.
Well, I think I have a theory. And I think, and I didn't really think of this until Joe Biden. When Joe Biden had the really bad debate, and the next day he did a rally, and he was much more tan, right? And he had looked so pale the night before, and I was like, oh, this is why they do it.
Oh yeah.
So it's like, he thinks it makes him look younger.
Yeah. You know what I mean? It's robust, but that's how delusional he is, right? Like it's the emperor in no clothes, because he thinks that makes him look robust. He thinks that the lips in his shoes make him look like tall. He thinks that the girdle makes him look slim. He thinks that the 15-step comb over of the 5 hairs clinging to his fucking scalp make him look like he's a romance covered model. I mean, he is looking like honest to God, he's looking like a Lorax. He's looking like that's what he's looking like. But he looks in the mirror and he's so fucking narcissistic that he sees Fabio like at his peak. It's like, gross, you literally look like a clown. Like, you're the kind of stuff that like nightmares are about. Like, kids would see you in the dark and run and hide. Like, this is fucking terrifying. We live in the upside down now, where this is where MAGA's like, yeah, he's manly. And even my son, my 15-year-old son, was watching TikTok during the campaign, and he's like, Mom, I know what you see, what I see. We all see this accurate thing, but my friends watch TikTok, and according to TikTok, that guy is manly. That's how they
don't understand this.
And they were all eating it up.
It is the emperor wears no clothes. Everybody knows the truth. Everybody's too afraid to say it. I don't know if everybody saw this New York Times story, which went up yesterday or this morning.
Oh yeah. hold on.
about what happened in the cabinet meeting between Elon Musk and the cabinet secretaries
Yes.
and Marco Rubio, who, by the way,
He's
have
not
you ever
long for
seen
this world.
anybody more? So let me tell you, Marco Rubio is the biggest empty suit I've ever met. I've met them all, Tara. I'm sure you've met them all too. Over the course of years. He is a uniquely empty suit. If you've ever been in a private conversation with Marco Rubio, you know there's no there there.
I met him before the hair plugs.
Yeah, exactly. Thank
Whoa,
you. He actually announced his presidential run in 2015 or 2016, whenever he announced it, on The Five, which is a show that I would guest co-host all the time. And I was on that show that day, and I was actually told to maybe go easy on Marco Rubio. Which, P.S., if you're running for president, you shouldn't have to be worried about somebody going hard on you. But nevertheless, I didn't go. I mean, I went pretty hard on him, but not as hard as I could have. He like didn't know what to say. I mean, he was just like a deer in the headlights, and he came to his little safe space of Fox News to announce the show. I mean, to announce the show, announces candidacy. But I will say this about him: the fact that he's the one pushing back on Elon Musk, he and the reality
Sean Duffy.
Reality.
Yeah, so
I call him the Secretary of Hot Tub Sexportation.
Right. Thank you. And the two of them stand up to Musk, and Musk basically treats them like they're over. And what's so fascinating is nobody else had the guts. After they saw what Musk did to Rubio, and after what he did to Duffy, the rest of them who've been privately complaining, the other cabinet secretaries are like, we're not going to say anything. Meanwhile, Donald Trump apparently is watching this backwards and forwards like a tennis match, is the way it was described at the time.
Described, yeah.
And the way he eventually decides that he eventually steps in. He's like, well, yes, maybe Elon, you shouldn't be that hard. But P.S., if you guys don't do it yourself, Elon will come in and do it. These people were confirmed by the United States Senate. I don't think much of them, but they are there as duly they're the representatives of this administration. He's a former senator,
right?
And
it was 100-0, 99-0.
99-0. It's a disgrace, by the way. Good job, Democrats.
Yeah.
But it's just amazing
me
to me.
most.
And then Trump says there was no clash. There was no clash. That's how you know there was a clash, because everything he says, you have to know.
There was a clash.
Yeah.
There was a clash.
I don't think Rubio will last the Scaramucci. I really don't. I think he's like, maybe he's already lasted.
He's already lasted three Scaramucci's, right? Okay. What is it? 10 days?
Math is off. Yeah, but he's not going to last much longer.
But where's Rubio going to go? Like, if you're Marco Rubio, you just gave up a safe Senate seat,
right?
Basically, be humiliated by Elon Musk, not even Donald Trump, but by Elon Musk all day, every day. Whenever he goes out to Saudi Arabia or whenever he goes out to whoever he talks to, he's spending a lot of time in Saudi. Like, you think Mohammed bin Salman cares what Marco Rubio has to say? He picks up the phone and calls Jared Kushner.
Right.
Like, there are people overlaying Marco Rubio.
There's a shadow government
that are so humiliated. If I were Rubio, I'd be so humiliated. I'd be so embarrassed that I'm thinking, why would I give up the Senate seat? Because his career is over. It's not like he's going to suddenly come back to Florida and run for governor, because if he ever crosses Trump, that's the end of him. DeSantis is elected now.
It's almost as if we've seen this playbook before, where these people, they honestly think they're special. They'll be the one. I mean, somebody we all know famously says everything Trump touches dies. Like, it is actually pretty fucking accurate. I know. I'm just going to say, but every one of them thinks it's not going to be them. I'm special. I'm different. I'm smarter. I have more integrity. I'm stronger than him. And they all do. They all hoist themselves upon their own petards. And here we fucking go. A story as old as time. Marco Rubio, you should be a cautionary tale to every other fucking asshole out there, but they'll find 10 more assholes to line up right the fuck behind you when you have to go back down to Florida with nothing but your entire reputation and legacy destroyed. Great job.
And one of the things, also I pulled the statements from Caroline Leavitt and the State Department's
Tammy Bruce, my God.
Oh. Yeah. And basically, both of them were like, nothing to see here. But one of the scariest part of this article for me, because we all know about me and my issues with flying. So the thing was about the air traffic controllers and how, Elon Musk is like, you have to fire them all. And Duffy's saying, Well, no, I can't. I'm dealing with 4 plane accident issues right now, like 4 incidents. Like, how am I gonna fire all of these air traffic controllers? And then it says the exchange ended with Mr. Trump telling Mr. Duffy that he had to hire people from MIT as air traffic controllers. These air traffic controllers need to be, quote, geniuses, he said. And the thing about that is, well, he has this weird obsession with MIT, right? Because he had this uncle.
His uncle or somebody.
His uncle the genius.
Yeah,
Yes.
he went to MIT because, like, remember he was in that lab or something at one point, and then the press was there, and he's like, "Well, I had this uncle, and he went to MIT."
Yes.
Yeah.
Genius. And again, it's never about hiring, firing. It's casting. He's cast roles. He's not looking for the best person. He's looking for the best person, the person he thinks looks the best or sounds the best.
Yeah.
And that's just
Hello, Pete Hegseth, the ultimate cast, character cast there. Oh, because he's a good-looking guy that was in the military for a little while, and so and he was on Fox News. Let's pick that guy.
Yeah.
By the way, it takes 2 to 4 years to get an air traffic controller on the job training to be ready.
Yeah.
Several months of schooling and 2 to 4 years. So 2 to 4 years to get them ready to do the very difficult fucking job. Don't worry. We're just going to kick all the ones who have already gone through that out so we can pluck these geniuses out of MIT who may be able to do astrophysics, but they can't fucking do air traffic control.
Right. Not just because someone's smart doesn't mean that they're good at everything, right? I mean,
that is correct.
And like, it's multitasking on a level that I don't think any of us could comprehend, because the lives, thousands and thousands of lives a day, are in your hands, not to mention bajillions of dollars, which is least important, but the lives. And that's where I wanted to pull this up. My mom actually, wrong one. Sorry, wrong one. Where is it? Elon Musk. Why is it not showing? Anyways, I have this Elon Musk thing. It's like world's biggest welfare queen. I don't know why it's not showing.
Oh, it's from Yahoo. Well, while you find that, it was a Yahoo story. You got it? There it is.
It's BuzzFeed Yahoo, yeah, but it's because of he had another rocket explosion on Friday or Thursday rather, and nobody, I guess no one knew that this was going to happen. And this is why he wants to take over the FAA so that he can have control over the airspace.
Yeah.
So let me explain this a little bit more. Okay, because people who follow me know that my husband and I were into space stuff, and we go and we do space things all the time. And I was very excited about watching 3 SpaceX launches during the week of New Year's this year, because we go down to Cocoa Beach because we're into space stuff. And Elon Musk is an asshole, but SpaceX does some very cool stuff. So that he has nothing to do with, by the way. He's not an engineer. I want to keep repeating this for people. Elon Musk did not design the rockets. He has nothing to do with any of the engineering.
He's never invented anything
in a car either.
Nothing.
He was the Trump invention, in the sense that Trump slaps his name on buildings that other people build. Elon Musk slaps his name on things that other people invent. I want everyone to know that.
That's true.
We will continue to repeat this, because the big lie of it, this whole veneer of him being this super genius guy, he's not Tony Stark. What do you call him, JoJo? You have a fake name. Tony Stark, yes.
Tony Stark and the Doge Bag.
Yes,
their cover band. They cover Hoodie and the Goldfish.
That's hilarious.
On Fridays at 2 p.m. in the afternoon. Right there in
hilarious.
Bridgewater, New Jersey. Yeah.
So I say all that to say that I get alerts because I follow a lot of space accounts on Twitter. And so I got the alert that a SpaceX launch was going up, and they have this thing called Starship, which they're testing. And the rockets, they have been good. They're going up and coming back. It's actually pretty cool to watch. But the Starship was actually the payload. So they're unmanned. And this is the second time now that the Starship has blown up, that they've lost control. Once it's gotten into orbit, it's blown up. And the other one happened right after, in January, not long after the New Year. And it created almost a near disaster, because it blew up and it had all this debris over the Caribbean. And commercial airliners had to dodge the damn debris. The air traffic control. Right. There's video of that the first time. It looks pretty cool, but it's really dangerous. This happened again on Thursday. Exact same scenario, blew up again. And this is what people saw. And guess what had to happen?
They just ground all the flights.
They had to ground all the flights this time. And this was a little closer to the US. And so Michelle had a friend who was on a flight to West Palm Beach that got diverted.
One of my best friends got diverted. He's like, they sent our plane out to the ocean basically for 20 minutes and circled. And he's like, they didn't tell us what was going on. And he said the pilot came on and said that there were 26 planes ahead of them to land. And I said, well, the reason why is because they closed the airspace over Miami. So a lot of planes had to get diverted and go to West Palm, which is
and this time, and this time it was a little closer to the US. Last time it was just really over the Caribbean, but this time there was video of people. You could see that scene from Cape Canaveral. Like you could see it. It was crazy. So anyway, why does this matter? It matters because the FAA has been investigating Elon Musk for some of these blow-ups that have happened and how that impacts commercial airspace. Because the last one happened before Trump got inaugurated. So this obsession with him going in to the FAA so early on, especially after a plane crash happened in the US, was like, why are you going after the FAA? Well, because the FAA has issues with what Elon Musk is doing. There's conflict with SpaceX because they just kind of send up their rockets. There's supposed to be coordination. And he's been very annoyed with having to do this because it gets in the way of the SpaceX stuff. Meanwhile, shit is blowing up and puts people in risk. So him being all up in the FAA and all up in the air traffic controller situation is a conflict of interest. Him trying to get rid of Verizon, who has the software that does need to be updated, but there's a process. The software that our air traffic controllers use, and now he wants to use Starlink in his stuff. This is all very bad and a major conflict of interest that's getting a kind of underreported because of all the other shit that he's doing. But this has a direct conflict.
People are going to die because of him, and they're going to die tragically. And Keith Edwards, actually, I don't know if you saw, he tweeted / posted on Blue Sky a video that someone had posted from a plane. Someone was looking out the window of their plane and saw all the debris. Like, that's how close they were. I mean, terrifying, just terrifying. And I mean, it's, how do you answer to people's families? How do you answer? I mean, it's just,
they don't seem to care.
They don't seem to care. I mean, Reid Hoffman, I saw an interview with him where he was talking about Elon Musk because they're, part of the PayPal mafia. Elon Musk had come in as like a co-CEO or something. And then Peter Thiel actually whipped votes to have Elon Musk voted off the board of PayPal while he was on his honeymoon, which is amazing.
Jesus.
They apparently have this love-hate relationship. But
he's also invested in tech, right? Didn't he? He's invested in SpaceX. Peter Thiel is.
Peter Thiel is an investor in SpaceX. But Reid Hoffman was saying basically, he said basically, when people are done working with Elon Musk, they either say, I never want to see him again, or that was great. And because he doesn't care who you are, he doesn't care what you are, he just needs you there to solve or give him what he needs to get to the next thing. And as soon as he's done with you, get out of my way. So, I mean, that's how he treats everything. That's how he treats Trump. That's how he treats the FAA. I mean, he's so much like Trump in that way because it's all about him. There is no other motive. That is literally it.
I think what scares me most about him and Trump is kind of the same way. I don't pretend to be a psychiatrist or know anything about neurological divergence, but there is a type of person out there, and I'm not sure what this is called, who just lacks empathy, right? There are people who just lack what did Jennifer Aniston once say about Brad Pitt? Like some sort of gene that he was lacking.
like a sensitivity chip.
A sensitivity chip, right? Like they kind of lack a sensitivity chip. Everything is very much like everything's very rational. Everything goes from A to B and B to C. And if people have to die in between to get us from A to B to B to C, then so be it, because the goal is to get from A to B and B to C. And when look, if you want to act that way in your personal life, that's your decision. I want nothing to do with you, because I think we've all known people like that. And I've tried to kind of not have them in my life. But when they're running government, that becomes all of our problems.
Yes.
When you have Elon Musk effectively saying, well, some people might have to die while we find people from somewhere else to run, air traffic control.
Well,
like
Collateral damage. That's
remember
all.
when Donald Trump was asked by Jonathan Swan about 1,000+ Americans dying a day, and he said it is what it is.
Yeah.
Remember that
Yes.
with all the memes with all the
It's
charts
insane.
and right, Elon Musk. It's a little bit of sociopathy, right? Like they're sociopaths.
Mhm.
And we can speculate all day for why. Donald Trump, I
More than a
believe,
little bit.
That's
Yeah.
a lot of unresolved childhood trauma for Trump. I mean, I'm not a
All of
psychologist or
them.
psychiatrist, right? All of them probably, right? That's where so many of the world's ills sort of originate from, right? Like
Yes.
JD fucking Vance, hi. Oh, your whole story is
Yes.
a lot to unpack there. Closeted stuff, all that. But like that disconnect, Julie, to your point, from like the complete lack of empathy for human life, the regard for human life. I mean, Donald Trump exemplifies that. I mean, the guy was worshiping at Our Lady of the Perpetual Mulligan every fucking Sunday when we were piling up body bags and people
Yeah.
were like losing their loved ones. And,
Girl.
and then Doc fucking Oz was like, well, if there's a certain number of children that we could, peel off here if we just don't worry about vaccination. I mean, this is the kind of fucked up shit like we're looking at already. And so I always think about these like seeds that they're planting that we haven't seen the fucking poison fruit yet. This dismantlement of public health, particularly as it relates to infectious diseases, where they've broken all of those agencies up and gotten rid of the reporting and the factual stuff. So this stuff is going to come home to roost, and people, they're going to be dying in the sky, on the ground. They're going to be no one, and they're not going to care, and they're not going to
on purpose.
Right.
I
Right.
think it's on purpose.
I
You
think
know,
chaos is the point, right? Because they can
Yes.
seize control in the chaos. But the
But I think it's more than
human
that.
suffering, like letting those pallets of medicine expire instead of letting them go to the people around the globe who needed them, who are going to be looking to China and elsewhere now. Like, can you help us? Or we'll
Yeah.
align with you. Like, it's fucking insane, and it's grotesque, and it's why the antidote so often is humanity. That's why these conversations are so important, because keeping connected to human beings.
And I want to talk about something you said, because I think it's more than just that, right? I think it's more than just a lack of empathy, and I think there's a method to this madness. And I said this on Abby Phillips' show, the one that Tara alluded to the other night, and nobody kind of agreed with me, which I found to be a little surprising, but maybe you guys won't either. When he said, when there is this whole movement out there that Elon Musk is retweeting to pardon Derek Chauvin, the guy, police officer, right? Who, by the way, is in prison on state charges. He pled guilty to a federal charge. But even if Donald Trump were to pardon Derek Chauvin, it wouldn't make a difference. He'd be spending the next 20 years to life or whatever.
I was wondering about that, so thank you for
right. So
yeah,
but,
it's concurrent, right? They have
it's concurrent. It's concurrent.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. But there is a reason why I think Trump might do it. He said he won't, but that typically presages him doing something because he's a liar.
Yeah.
The reason would be to start riots, because we all know what's going to happen. He pardons Derek Chauvin. There's going to be protests in the streets. And if you remember, he wanted to declare martial law and invoke the Insurrection Act the last time. And he was prevented from doing that by Secretary Esper, his then Secretary of Defense. He was prevented from doing that by his chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Well, guess who's not around anymore? And guess who he's replaced with people who actually believe in the rule of law, with people like Pete Hegseth.
Right.
Yep.
Nothing more than to invoke the Insurrection
Who's
Act.
openly said that they wanted to get rid of all of the generals, all the people in charge of the military who would be a roadblock to what it is.
Thank you.
Correct.
So I just want to, like, to me, it's not just because they lack empathy. To me, there's a method to the
I agree.
I think it's sinister.
I think it's both.
I think it's both. Yeah, I agree.
Because you have to have a lack of empathy in order to want that to be your goal.
Right.
The end game,
And Donald Trump isn't clever enough or imaginative enough to come up with these things on his own. He's just this animal who wants retribution and doesn't give a fuck about other people. But when someone is in his ear, whoever that is, Putin or whoever it is in the moment, then he's like this, hey, that malevolence, that the evil part of you, yeah, we're going to tap into that, and we're going to we're going to do this thing where we're going to seize control. But Julie, you're exactly right. I think that there is a calculation, not on Trump's part so much. He's just he is in many ways the useful idiot who's just like, I just want people who hurt me to hurt. That's all I want. I want people who hurt me to hurt, and people I don't like to hurt. And I want people who are upset. I don't care. But it helps him and whoever is ultimately pulling the strings. I think we all know who that is. That helps them seize more and more control.
And speaking of pulling the strings, another New York Times, I think it was the New York Times headline that said, or maybe it was in the body of the article, but something about how the West is over, right? Whatever else happens, the concept of the West is over. Well, the people who use the West as a concept more than anybody else are the Russians. Because the enemy was never the enemy was never the United States alone. It was always the West. The way they talk about the collective us is the West. And now when you have something like the paper record basically saying the West is over, my God, if I were in the Kremlin right now, I would be popping every single bottle of the most expensive champagne that they all have, because it's done. They did it. I mean, they won the Cold War effectively with this guy being. I mean, we sat as idiots and celebrated 1989, the Berlin Wall coming down, and we all celebrated that the United States won the Cold War. What a conceit that was. They were just playing the long game. And me, where the hell, listen, and I'm going to say this, where the hell is Barack Obama, George Bush, Joe Biden? Where are they? Because
I know.
People have spoken up. Obama is off at Lakers games, or wherever the hell. Biden's, I guess, hiding in Rehoboth Beach. I don't know where he is. Bush is painting away his guilt over their war somewhere in Texas. Where are you? Because the country that you claim to have loved all these years and devoted your life to as presidents is basically in its last gasp of great.
Did you guys see that viral video of it wasn't a town hall. It was like a breakfast or something where I couldn't see the guy. You could just hear him giving a speech, and it was an older man talking about the cemetery close to where they were, and how it had the graves of soldiers who fought in World War II, fought in Vietnam, fought in Korea. And he was talking about how 80 years of our, aligning with freedom for this to throw it all away. And these were older folks who, according to the video, was in a red town or red district or whatever. And they were disgusted and livid and angry. And you could hear the frustration and anger and the disheartenment in this man's voice. And to your point again, Julie, where are all those leaders? Because the American people, this is not a partisan issue. And I actually think that this issue gets more traction than a lot of people think it does, and the Republicans would like it to do. There are people who are still alive, who are part of the greatest generation. There are their children, and there are people all over the world who are going, no. I mean, I made a video about this thing. People fucking were like, yes, we need to talk about this because this is insane.
Listen, Joe, you're 100% right about this. Michelle, do we have Betrayal? I think we should show it.
Yeah, it's real. It's fucking good.
So on to this point, shameless plug for our work at the Seneca Project right now. But we thank you, Michelle. This way, we just partnered with Marcus Flowers, who is a 20-year Army veteran and DOD worker who ran for Congress against Marjorie Taylor Greene. He runs a PAC called Hold the Line. We had an idea because we saw what's happening to veterans, right? We saw what's going on, to JoJo's point, like our veterans, our military service members and their families are getting raked over the coals by what Doge is doing and what Trump is allowing to happen, because he doesn't give a fuck about our veterans. He doesn't care about the military. He calls them suckers and losers. And I got into an argument with someone on Twitter this morning who was like, oh, you think that I voted, I don't care about my husband and all these military people who voted for Trump? That I said, listen, cognitive dissonance is a hell of a drug. People vote against their own interests for all the time, sweetheart. And you know what? Donald Trump thinks your husband is a sucker and loser. So, don't come after me. He's the one that's cutting all those jobs, mass firings, and the services. And we did a video called Betraying the Brave with Marcus Flowers and his group to drive this point home. And I think people should see it because it really emphasizes the point here, because the veterans and our military service members have the highest approval rating of any demographic. They are beloved more than George Washington and Mother Teresa. And no one is out here pointing out that Donald Trump is the first American president to betray our veterans. But you know who is out here doing it? Us. So we're going to show it, because people need to see it.
Go for it.
The golden age of America has only just begun.
Veterans will suffer.
It will be like nothing that has ever been seen before.
Friday night, Pentagon purge.
President Trump has just fired the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff.
Truly unprecedented.
And we take good care of our veterans.
Veterans are being fired.
We've been betrayed.
Absolutely betrayed.
A slap in the face.
I feel let down.
I feel like I'm not good enough.
We love our veterans.
The president referred to them as suckers and losers.
We're not losers. We're not suckers.
We care about veterans, but at the same time, we have a fiscal responsibility to use taxpayer dollars to pay people that actually work.
We don't deserve to be treated like this.
Perhaps they're not fit to have a job at this moment.
These people are brave, patriotic Americans that go to work every single day.
We have hundreds of thousands of federal workers who have not been showing up to work.
I put myself in harm's way for the country.
We put our whole entire life into public service, and all of a sudden, one man comes in and throws it all away.
Elon Musk, who is in the gallery tonight.
If Elon Musk does what he wants to do, between 200 to 300,000 veterans are fired this year.
Any federal bureaucrat who resists this change will be removed from office immediately.
Veterans make up 30% of the federal workforce.
Combat veterans. It's your neighbors. We want to work hard. We want to help people.
These warriors who shed their blood.
The Department of Veterans Affairs dismissing more than 1,400 probationary workers.
Can you guarantee that veterans' benefits and care will not be affected by these cuts?
No, I can't guarantee anything. I just feel like I've just been swept up in a dustpan and thrown out. I voted for Trump. A lot of us didn't deserve this.
The line of that video is, I voted for Trump. We didn't deserve this.
You guys, this is pretty heavy for a Saturday, but here's what's going to happen. And the veterans who defended all of us for generations, I mean, people, as you have pointed out, who fought in World War II are still alive. Mm-hmm. People who stormed Normandy, the beaches of Normandy, are still alive. A third of all American federal workers, roughly, are veterans. We employ veterans in the federal government at disproportionate rates to their population generally. I think only about 2% of all Americans are veterans.
That's correct.
A third of them roughly work in the federal government. I mean, that's before we even get to the military alone.
Right. And also DEI, just a quick aside, people think, oh, DEI is just about women and Black people. No, it's also about disabled veterans. It helps give them a hiring preference. Yes. You know, that video included a clip from an interview with Breonna Keeler, this Republican congressman. She also asked him about the disabled veterans and others getting fired indiscriminately. And he was like, well, you know, no one should have preference. She goes, you do understand that the military gets preferences in hiring. And he was like, well, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So DEI also helps our military veterans.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Julie.
And the part to me that is terrifying, but I think if we bury our head in the sand, we're not going to see it coming until it's here. And I wrote a Substack newsletter on it this week, which a lot of people had a reaction to for this reason. And I don't want to go through the history, but during the Clinton administration, made a strong commitment. The United Kingdom and the United States made an explicit commitment to Ukraine, that if they gave up their nuclear weapons, and don't forget Ukraine, I don't know if people know this, Ukraine had the third largest stockpile.
Yep.
In 1990, at the dissolution of the Soviet Union, the year before it collapsed, the third largest stockpile of nuclear weapons in the world after the United States and after the Soviet Union, or after Russia, I should say. So for them to give up their nukes was a big deal, because they had more nukes than anybody in Europe. I mean, literally a tremendous amount. And when they gave up that stockpile, the guarantee, and they reluctantly did it, the guarantee was from this country that we will protect your territorial integrity and your sovereignty always. You have that commitment from us. So what happened? Of course, Donald Trump went back on it. The first president to go back on it in 30 years. And what I think is really relevant for people to know, and terrifying, and I'm sorry to make this so heavy on a Saturday morning, is that the message this sends to Saudi Arabia and to Taiwan and to Egypt, and certainly to the Iranians, and to everybody else who's worried about invasion, and people who are not worried about invasion now, but are worried that it might come up eventually, is that if we go nuclear, nobody's going to touch us. So what is going to happen? their nuclear programs are going to be put into overdrive. And the American umbrella of protection that has told the free world that we've got your back, so don't go nuclear because don't worry about it. We will come to your defense, either as NATO or through treaties like we did with the Ukrainians that we passed, agreements, I should say, that wasn't. That's all gone now. What do you think is going to happen to this country when all of these states, some of whom are not particularly stable, go nuclear?
Mm-hmm.
And Trump talked to Zelensky about the big, beautiful ocean that separates us. Well, my friends, there's something called ICBMs, intercontinental missiles.
Yeah.
That big, beautiful ocean is not protecting us. It takes somebody 30 seconds with an ICBM capability to press that button, and a nuclear missile will explode in Times Square. I mean, that's all there is to it. That's just a fact. And again, I don't want to scare the bejesus out of anybody, but this is what this guy is doing. So all these veterans that you just talked about in your ad, Tara and Michelle, all the people that sat there and sacrificed their lives and their health for us to keep us safe have been betrayed because what they have been effectively told by this administration, in addition to them being out of jobs and being treated like shit, that your sacrifice meant nothing because we are about to make the United States more vulnerable than it has ever been before. This is what Robert Oppenheimer was scared about when he effectively created nuclear weapons.
Listen, if anybody hasn't seen Oppenheimer, go watch Oppenheimer. It is an absolutely incredible. Oh my God, Julie.
I haven't seen it.
Oh my God, you guys. It is
I saw the Barbie part of Oppenheimer, but I didn't see the Oppenheimer part.
I saw Oppenheimer before I saw Barbie, not understanding. And the thing about Oppenheimer though is that you really needed to see it in a theater, like on IMAX, because it was woof.
I don't know. I think if you watch it on a big enough TV in your house and you have surround sound and your neighbors don't mind, turn it up. That's what we did at my parents' house. The whole house.
Yes, but if you had the opportunity to see it in IMAX, the immersive experience of it with the sound and just the intensity of it all, like it's over 3 hours. But my husband, who has a tendency to fall asleep during movies, did not fall asleep during this one. He was like, if it's not like a Marvel movie, he'll be like, whatever, you know what I mean? Which I'm fine with. We love those. But Oppenheimer draws you in. It's so good. But anyway, to Julie's point, that is absolutely correct. And it is very scary. And it's just the flood of so many intense things, which leads us to why a lot of people are probably wondering why I'm wearing my Great American Bitch t-shirt. A lot of people in the comments have complimented me on it and asked about it. And it has to do with the International Women's Day, which is today. Yes. That is also trying to be erased. The Google calendar erased International Women's Day as a recognized day today, which is insane. But we are not going to allow that. Yes, Michelle actually pointed that out to me. I didn't realize it either. And it's all part of that International Women's Day was taken off the Google calendar.
Yeah. And so sorry, you can say what I had something to add to that.
Yeah. And so I'm just tying it into the international order of way things are changing because it's happening, just like how DEI is erasing women's accomplishments in the military, people of color. These idiots are using AI and they're deleting over 100,000 references to anything that has what they consider DEI and the word gay, including pictures of the Enola Gay. The plane that dropped the bomb, the Enola Gay. Okay, these fucking morons. So this purging. No, I know this purging of is part of the authoritarian playbook as well. This is what they do because they want to rewrite history and erase things, and they want to, because they're threatened by anything that isn't them, which is straight white men. And we're not going to let that happen.
A lot of them are closeted white men.
Yeah.
That's a whole JD Vance, but that's a whole nother show. We can talk about that later. Go ahead, Michelle, because I'm leading up to American Girl. Go ahead.
No, yeah. So first of all, Tara's shirt is from the musical Stuffs, which Tara and I saw together. Produced by Malala and Hillary Clinton. It was a beautiful show. And they performed at the United Nations yesterday for International Women's Day. They were the first Broadway show to ever perform at the United Nations. It was beautiful. Oh, see, there you go. And I actually saw this on my my friend Nikki James. She's an old friend of mine. Is in it. She plays Ida B. Wells. Very powerful.
One of my heroes.
Yeah, really powerful. But yeah, so you can keep going. But on the JD Vance thing, just put a pin on that. I'd like to talk about that before we leave. So anyways, keep going.
Yeah. So I chose to wear my Great American Bitch shirt because it's a number from the show Suffs, and because the Suffs talks about the period of the suffrage movement, the newer part from like the 1900s until the 19th Amendment was passed. And so there's a whole thing about how these men and people who are against women's right to vote, they were calling these women, Alice Paul and all of those women who were out there marching, they were calling them bitches, like these, trying to disparage their efforts. And so they co-opted the term and turned it around and said, that's right, we're the great American bitch. That's right. Take that from us, and you're not going to stop us. So when I saw this, I got a chance to see the show a second time as a guest of the League of Women Voters. And I said, this time I'm buying merch. And there was no way that I was not getting the Great American Bitch shirt because you know what? They can call us whatever they want. There are people in this chat that are calling us all kinds of names. Yeah. We don't care. You're not ever going to silence us, ever.
Yeah, well, we thank you for joining this show, by the way. Helps us with the algorithm. Keep it coming. We love
Nothing
it.
owns us harder than your participation in our lives. Thank you.
Exactly correct.
Thanks for spending your Saturday morning with us.
Good.
Yes. Right, exactly. And that's why we decided to re-release American Girl, which we're going to show after Michelle talks about JD Vance. But we're going to show American Girl as we end the show today, because it's Women's History Month and the government has purged all references to it, just like they did to Black History Month, which they're going to do for Pride, which they're going to do for Hispanic History Month. They are purging any government reference to it, and they're not allowed to celebrate it, which is absolutely insane. And we are not going to allow people to erase our accomplishments or our history. And our viral ad, which we actually said is more than an ad, it was an anthem, American Girl, really has a strong reference to the historical accomplishments of women and our stories. And so we have updated it and we are re-releasing it today. And we hope everyone, please like it, share, spread the word, because it's up to us to tell those stories. So, Michelle, if you want to say something about JD before we wrap it up, and I know everybody has a thing, we'll finish it on American Girl.
Yeah. There's a couple things I just wanted to briefly touch on before we go, and I'll be quick, I promise. So the first one, and we've talked about Curtis Yarvin on the show a little bit, how he's the guru for Peter Thiel, JD Vance. I mean, he is the singular biggest influence on all of them, who wants countries to not exist and to start these networks that would turn into nation states that would have like a CEO monarchy running them. And we'd all be just like little worker bee slaves. And anybody who is not a productive member of society, they would kill and like basically grind into biodiesel. That's not made up. They wrote that. That is their words. So yesterday, and I've been talking about this, and even saying it, I feel crazy. Like it sounds like a nuts thing, but it's real, and I couldn't even believe it myself. So when this article came out in Wired.com yesterday, and I urge everyone to subscribe if you can, throw them a couple bucks at Wired. They're doing amazing reporting on the tech world. So when I saw this, Startup Nation groups say they're meeting Trump officials to push for deregulated freedom cities. Like, it's happening. It is happening. So they're talking about a startup nation known as Prospera tells Wired that he and other Prospera, if I'm saying that right, representatives working under an advocacy group called the Freedom Cities Coalition have been meeting with the Trump administration about the idea in recent weeks. He claims the administration has been very receptive in 2023, and Trump floated the idea of creating 10 freedom cities when he was on the campaign trail. And they've already drafted legislation. And basically, these freedom cities would exist and they would be exempt from any regulation, any laws, like anything. They would just be their own kind of things on American soil. And so, just not making this up, it is happening. They're now reporting on it. So, just be aware that because it's trying to even get people to care about this is very difficult because it sounds so nuts.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And as I say, the lack of imagination is a very dangerous thing.
Well, and they're busy gaslighting us on everything. I mean, they're busy gaslighting to tie it back to the Great American Bitch and like the American Girl. We were being gaslit into believing yesterday Donald Trump in the Oval Office says that whatever another propaganda bar be like, here's for women and all the work you've done for women. No one's done more for women. We are being gaslit into lighted or lit, I don't know which it is, into believing.
I think it's gaslit.
Gaslit into believing that an adjudicated rapist who brags about grabbing women by the pussy multiple times, a thrice philandering, at least on record, I mean, the thrice married, serial philandering abusers, abusers has done more for women than anyone in the history of time. And he said, I'll protect women whether they like it or not. Right. While they're erasing actual women's history and gaslighting us into believing that this fucking monster who's putting other fucking sexual abusers in positions of power, hi Pete Exes, hi Elon Musk. So they're trying to erase all of that while telling us that we have to accept these rapists being in charge of our lives. So, I mean, like, as the mother of both a son and a daughter, but to Tara's intro before about this and Michelle's incredible fucking work. The first time I saw this ad, I cried like a baby. I'm sure I will cry again. I showed it to my daughter who cried watching it because what we are up against right now is the intersection of the erasure of our lives, our histories, our accomplishments, and the imposition of sexual abusers and rapists like Handmaid's Tale style, controlling our destinies and our lives and our realities. So this ad just speaks so deeply to my soul. I'm going to ugly cry, so you should probably play it before I'm on camera ugly crying. I'll just say that.
Well, and the crazy thing is, it was Maria Bartiromo who was in the background saying, "Thank you, everything you've done for women. Thank you, sir." Which is funny because he just appointed. I'm so sorry, Tara, to tell you this. The last two board seats at the center went to Maria Bartiromo.
I saw.
And Laura Ingraham, who literally bullies gay people. So
at the Kennedy Center.
Kennedy Center. They've officially rounded out ruining my beautiful national treasure, the Kennedy Center. Laura fucking Ingraham and Maria Bartiromo are now joining Rick Grinnell and the rest of the flunkies and Dan Scavino. These
and
flunkies.
JD Vance's wife, who's another fucking
the flunkies. I can't.
So the last JD Vance thing. Sorry, it's loading. I had just loaded it in. This is actually very funny, and I thought it would be nice to laugh before we end. Hold on, it's processing. God damn it. I loaded it, and usually when you load it, it just pops up on screen. So I was trying to save it. So, here it is. Here it is. Great,
We're gonna have to talk about Usha Vance sometime, at some point, not today, but
we will.
We will.
We have thoughts.
Yes, we have thoughts. So here is this. So I saw Dionne Warwick, tweeted last night. Every time I open this app, I see a brand new picture of JD Vance made to look like some sort of Cabbage Patch doll.
Freaking brilliant.
It's because we hate him, Miss Dionne. She's like, I know, baby. Everyone was posting, and I don't know if you're on Twitter or Blue Sky or anything. People are posting these like ridiculous, like funny pictures of JD Vance, and they make me laugh so hard. So here's one as
oh my god.
Doll.
I had that exact same.
That's my favorite. That's my favorite.
This one is great. This one is great. This one is great too. Donald Trump getting a colonoscopy.
Oh my god.
This one is just like a popular meme. This one is great. They're all equally really, really wonderful. That one I think is my favorite. They're so good.
Oh my god.
I can't. I can't unsee this. I can't unsee this.
This is what's going viral on it. This is like a trend on the internet right now. This is my favorite one. So when you said Lollipop Guild earlier, I was like, oh yes.
Oh, yeah.
So if you're scrolling around the internet, please look out for these. They're very funny.
The Kim
I hope
Kardashian.
you use them. So
Kim
good.
Kardashian.
Oh my God.
Anyways, that's my
Okay. Well, now that we've all been subject to that, we can't unsee it. Julie, do you have any? You guys have any last words before we play it out on America, the updated American Girl? Oh, and by the way, we are, because it is a timeline of historical references, we, again, telling our stories, every day we're posting a little like factoid blurb about the images you see in American Girl in chronological order. So a lot of folks asked us for that because there were some historical references that they didn't know. And we thought that would be a great way to honor Women's History Month and American Girl. And we have submitted American Girl for a Webby Award, and the Webbies are like the Oscars of the internet. So we find out on April 1st if we got the nomination. And then we're going to start, and we'll need everybody's help for the People's Choice Award. You can go and you can actually vote on it to help us out. That's if we get the nomination, praying that we do. We find out on April 1st. So that's kind of the background of the re-release of American Girl. And we're just thankful for everybody who has supported it. Julie, Joe, do you guys have anything before we run it out?
One is, I'm so grateful that you guys, in the very end of that ad, look for Gretchen Carlson, who's my co-founder with me of our nonprofit Lift Your Voices. That is from a bill signing where we got rid of forced arbitration Yes, we got rid of forced arbitration for sexual misconduct, and President Biden signed that into law, a bipartisan bill that was passed. So I'm so glad you guys put her in there. Thank you. I'm sure
it's important
on her behalf. The second thing is,
and this is just so people know, we did this before we even started these collaborations. Michelle felt it was very important that we include that because of it's part of the journey for women, particularly post Me Too.
Yes, for sure. Second is, I am, just to do a little plug, I am interviewing Congressman Frank Pallone, who is the ranking member on Energy and Commerce, which oversees Medicaid and a lot of these programs that Trump wants to cut. I'm doing that on Monday at 7 p.m. on Substack Live. If anybody has any questions they want me to ask Congressman Pallone, shoot me an email or do it in the Substack app or on social media. But I think it's important because what I decided I'm going to do is, a lot of people want to hear from our Democrats about what they're doing or not doing. So I decided to start just inviting them on and having them tell us what they're doing or not doing to stand up to Trump, especially on issues like Medicaid, which are so, so important. And this is the member of Congress who is literally the Democratic tip of the spear on protecting Medicaid. So let me know if there's anything here. Okay.
Yes, fantastic. And for people, a couple folks asked, can we post on Blue Sky, our YouTube link? All of our Seneca Project video and content is always on YouTube first. So if you guys like and subscribe to our Seneca channel on YouTube, you will get everything. We always post it there first so that it's easily shareable in case folks aren't on certain social media platforms. And absolutely not, we will not show that Lincoln Project AI ad. We think that is just not that's not our jam here at all. These are serious times for serious things, and that is not what we do here. So sorry for people who are asking for that. We don't have anything to do with them, and we have our own brand and our own focus, and this is why we do what we do. We're actually proud of the work that we do here. And American Girl is our crowning achievement, and we're proud to show you guys once again. Happy Saturday, happy International Women's Day, tell our stories.
I think we should play it, and then we'll come back, say goodbye very quick, and then
fantastic. Let's do that.
Okay, great.
I'm going to have an ugly cry face.
Women's suffrage is a long story of hard work and heartache crowned by victory.
Was it so hard being an American girl?
Women throughout the country are committed to winning these rights for themselves.
Was it so hard living in a first problem world?
I'm Connie Chung, CBS News, New York.
When the American promise is the land of the free, but I'm waiting for the bill for the air that I breathe. Was it so hard being an American?
I do.
I pray that we all remember our children are watching.
Every heart beats true for the red, white, and blue. Tell me
first woman in this office, I will not be the last.
Every heart beats true for the red, white, and blue. Tell me, girls, what are we gonna do?
Well,
I love that. That is truly, you guys, not because you made it. I truly think in 30 years that I've been doing political campaigns, that is the best ad I've ever seen by far, because it's so visceral, and it's just it's actually seeing it now. When I saw it before the election, that was one thing. Seeing it now is just so devastating to me. It's just so devastating, but it makes me think we have to keep fighting for these values, because it's a long arc. But as I always say, not me, Martin Luther King said it before me and other people said it before him, but the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. It just does.
And Kamala said in her concession speech, you know, it's when it's the darkest, you know, the stars shine the brightest, and that's what's happening right now. Sorry, women are showing up. Sorry. Yeah. Share this ad with all your friends. Share it far and wide. It's not political. Women are leading the way. We are not complying. We love our allies. We love our men allies. We love you. Women are not bending over ever again, ever. Share this. Sorry.
Yeah.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Joe.
No, I'm a mess. That's why I'm quiet.
Well,
it's painful, but it's motivating. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It has to be. We have to, right? We look at this and it hits us so hard because we know the importance of keeping up this fight. And I say this all the time because in history, we've had inflection points. And imagine if people did not stay resilient and have the resolve to keep fighting for what was right, where we would be. That's the abolitionist movement. That's the women's rights movement. That's the suffrage movement. That's the civil rights movement. And here we are. We are in a fight for our existential lives, for our country and our democracy, that it impacts all of us, and especially women. So that's why we have to keep fighting.
Nobody, for people who have better things to do with their lives, let me just say this. In other points in our history in this country, and certainly around the world today, there are people who are being locked up. There are people who are being executed for standing up for what's right. You have to look at Alexei Navalny in Russia. You have to look at all the abolitionists who were truly murdered, lynched in the 60s.
Yep.
Northerners who would go down to Mississippi to try to fight against Jim Crow, murdered, lynched. People had fire hoses opened up on them, and dogs.
Yesterday was the anniversary of Bloody Sunday.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And none of that is happening yet right now. So for people who are thinking they have other better things to do, this is the safest time in our history to be expressing your beliefs thus far, and yet not enough people are doing it. And I just want to be clear, because what Tara and Michelle made in that ad showed a whole host of women who risked a lot more to do the right thing, to advance our society.
Yeah, and
we have to do it now.
And I just want to remind people, if you don't know, from the beginning of this Seneca Falls Convention in 1848 to when women, and mind you, it was mostly white women, got the right to vote in 1920 was 72 years. It took 72 years. Hello, Sterling. It took 72 years. And then 3 years later, and Alice Paul being a major figure in those later years and helping this cross the finish line, 3 years later, stood on the steps of the First Presbyterian Church in Seneca Falls and introduced the Equal Rights Amendment on the 75th anniversary of the first women's convention, women's rights convention in the history of ever. So she knew too, after all of her fighting, that the work continues. And she was spearheaded that. And look how long then it took for us to be able to get a credit card, to own property, to get a loan, to own a business.
Yeah.
So, you know, we are in a regression right now as women in this country. But I say this often, that Gen X and millennials, we are the most educated, most financially independent group of women in the history of the world. And so we are not starting from zero. We have power. We have some money, and they're not gonna do this to us. They're just.
And I love it. And I just add this about my daughter. My daughter is a firework. When she is almost 12, she is a firework. And I will be goddamn not going to allow my daughter not to have the chance to just streak across the sky. Like she is just a firework waiting to explode. And what Donald Trump and those fucking assholes are trying to impose upon her and everyone else everyone else in this country and everyone else's daughters and granddaughters and sisters and friends, we are not going to allow it to happen. I'll be goddamned if we're going to roll over and allow them to do it. Those women who come before us, I'm going to meet Gloria Steinem on Wednesday. I hope she's sad if she hasn't play it for her. I'm all the women who have paved the way and the women right now standing up for the young girls that are coming up behind us. Thank you. And we're not going to roll over and
don't forget. And I want to just say, Jojo, to your point, don't forget our boys. Don't forget our boys.
Agreed.
Because I have a 12-year-old boy, and I will tell you this, and I run a women's rights nonprofit. I do it for him because we need to raise our boys to become men who understand that feminism is important, that it's not threatening, that nobody thinks they're better than anybody, that everybody should have equal rights of opportunity. Everybody should have the same opportunities.
Amen.
And that's all that we're asking for. So for those of you who are men who are listening to this, for those of you who are raising men, little men who eventually will become big men, we do it for them too. And Joe, I know you have a son as well. And I know that you probably, I know you agree with me on this. We need to make sure that our men learn correctly from a young age, that there's nothing masculine about looking down on women, about
the opposite.
Making sure that women fight alone. You should fight for women and with women, the same way women will fight for your rights as well. I marched during the Black Lives Matter marches.
So did I.
I'm not Black, but I understood that we're all one huge. It's for all of us. It's for all of us. And the same way, men, please, this is not just about us. We should not be fighting this fight alone.
No.
So
amen to that.
Yeah.
And we've always said that, and that it was very important to us when we started the Seneca Project that we emphasize that we love our male allies and we're not a man-hating organization. There are some women's organizations that they don't want anything to do with men and blah, blah, blah. And we're like, that's not us, that's not us at all. We are women-led, women-focused from the yeah, right. We're women-led, women-focused. We come from the perspective of women, but we also appreciate our male allies, which is why we made Hope, the ad, our IVF ad, from the perspective of the dads. And no one else did that, by the way, in the entire election, speaking to men and the dads out there who also are impacted by IVF, because women can't have babies without men. So it was, we fully appreciate that. And I'm glad that you guys said it because, we talk about women all the time, but we are 100% welcoming of our male allies. We have a man on our board. Okay. Denver Riggleman is our favorite girl dad. And, he's, it brings an important perspective, and, he's the father of 3 daughters and granddaughters. So yes, we're all encompassing on that. So
I have got to go take my family. So I got to go.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you everybody, all 15,000 plus of you who have been joining us for today's coffee and conversation. Even the trolls. Thank you for helping us spread the word. Yes. So happy International Women's Day, everybody. And we'll see you guys on Wednesday for our next edition of Over It. And check us all out on the chats. You can find American Girl on YouTube for those who are asking. If you're not on, it's on all our socials, but also on our YouTube channel. It's there.
I'll do it.
It's coming to Blue Sky momentarily. We've been a little busy this morning.
I'm going to be writing about it on my Substack as well.
Me too.
With the ugly cry face. I
know, me too. I should take a picture of all of us blubbering during it again. But yes, on my Substack too, Uncompromised, I'm going to do a blurb about this as well. So thank you guys, and we'll see you soon.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.